welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this live stream event. My name is Alexia, and I am the project and event manager of the Microsoft Reactor Toronto. I will be sharing session resources with you in the chat. Before we begin, I would like to review two items with you, our code of conduct and event guidelines. First, please take a moment to review our code of conduct. Microsoft Reactor seeks to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. And secondly, our event guidelines. This session is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel on demand in about 24 to 48 hours. I will also be sharing the link to our YouTube channel later in the chat. And if you've not been on a live stream through YouTube before, please note that you must create an account in order to access and interact in the chat. You can set that up now, and if you're unable to use the chat but have questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media or on Meetup. Which brings us to today's session, first day of JulyOT. I'm going to bring in our speaker here, Bruno Capuano. Hello.
Hey, hello everyone. Bruno here. Hey, Alicia. How are you?
Hey.
Hello. Again for the audience. Sorry.
Super excited to kick off this week of JulyOT with you.
Yes, we are going to do a lot of stuff. I hope everything works. This is changes all the time, but no, it's a super amazing platform. We've been having, let me share here, we've been having this full July, the month of July dedicated to IoT. And hey, if you want to take a look at the resources, take a look at the other sessions and the upcoming session this week, this is your main resource, JulyOT.dev, where you're going to find everything. For us this week, I am going to show how we can pick up a Raspberry Pi from start. And at the end of the week, I hope we have a super cool solution up and running with Azure IoT. Again, I hope. I am fixing stuff on the way, but no, it's a super fun process. And this should be a 0 to 100 learning path all the week. So, hey, as I said, thanks, Alexia.
Thank you. Let's get it started.
Perfect. So, hey, let's start. Let me switch to my PC. As I said, Bruno Capuano here from Toronto. I am the cloud advocate supporting the Toronto Reactor. And right now I'm in my office. I'm a wild Latin person in my 40s. And hey, I'm wearing a Windows Insider t-shirt, black t-shirt today in my blue office. And Windows makes a lot of sense today. I'm going to explain you why. But before going there, I don't have a lot of slides today. I literally have 3-4 slides, but this is what we are going to do today. We are going to create an image that we are going to use, an operating system image that we are going to use in a Raspberry Pi. Then we are going to deploy the image into a device, basically flash the image into a SD card and then add the SD card here. And then I'm going to show the step-by-step of how we can configure how we can set up and do everything in the Raspberry Pi to be an Azure IoT device. And I'm going to do a couple of extra steps there so you can take a look at this. So big topics, we are going to use a tool to flash the image. We are going to configure and create a new device in IoT Hub. And then we are going to add a couple of custom modules. So basically to have fun. And as usual, sorry for the bad jokes, sorry for the demos are not very the amazing ones, but hey, the idea is to learn and starting from scratch. So that's it from a slide today. I am not going to do more slides. Let me know while I am doing the demos if you can see my screen, if the fonts are fine, if everything is working fine. And everything else. I am looking forward to have your feedback. And as I said, we are going to start with the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is a super, super popular device. I am not going to talk a lot about how Raspberry Pi. You probably know the device is super expensive now. It used to be a not so expensive device. Now it's a little expensive because we have this crazy chip shortage and other situations around the globe, but still is a good device to learn. So you can use, thanks Kamal for the feedback about everything's working fine. So you can use, I am going to do everything on a Raspberry 4, but you can use a Raspberry Pi 3 if you want, any version. Most of them are supported. And if I have time at the end, I am going to also show how you can use a Raspberry Pi Pico to do this. Not my main topic today, but we can do something there. And Kamel asks if this is, and by the way, I am going to read the question and try to answer the question at the same time, in real time. I have a 20-30 seconds delay between when you type the question until I read it, but I will try to do this. One question is, if this is going to be compatible with the reTerminal also? Yes, I am going to use one of the reTerminal on Wednesday. That is already connected, is already configured, but it's the same step that we are doing today to do some custom modules and computer vision and a couple of very amazing stuff. But yes, everything that we are going to see today, we are going to also see this up and running for the reTerminal. And Andrew, thanks for the UK. Hey, I miss my friends from there. We were just talking with a couple of friends, so thanks for joining. As I said, we have the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is a cool device. We only need to basically deploy an operating system into the device. For that, you would need an SD card. And there are a couple of ways that you can do that. There are a couple of tools where you can... Hi, Sean. A lot of UK people. I love it. That's amazing. That you can use to flash your devices, to flash your operating system into the device. I prefer to use the official one. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. Raspberry Pi released an OS image, Raspberry Pi Imager, sorry, the name of the tool. And it's a super cool tool. Let me launch the tool here. This is the tool. Basically, when you launch the tool, it's going to... Where is this? In this window. Let me minimize this. So this is the tool. It's kind of a nice one. And hey, when you install the tool, the first thing that you are going to do is you need to choose operating system, then choose where do you want to save your, flash your image, and then write your image. Cool stuff here that we have in the operating system panel. We have the standard options to use Bullseye with basically is the Raspberry Pi desktop, is the Raspberry Pi OS, which is a port of the Debian Bullseye. We are going to talk about this because there are right now Azure IoT deprecated this version. I think it was on June 30 or something like this. It was literally 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, but we can still use it. And then if we want, we can use other versions. We have here Little, Raspberry Pi OS Little, where we basically don't have any desktop environment. This is the one that I use. This is the one that I like. This is the one that I basically flash in my drive. But if you want, you can go for the full, that is going to have all of your desktop libraries and all of the applications, like, I can't remember with everything there. I think they even include VS Code, maybe there. There are tons of applications there. And then you have also versions in 64 bytes if you need it, same format. You have the OS, kind of the middle one, Little, nothing there, Light, nothing there, and the full Raspberry Pi OS legacy with the previous version of this. So we have plenty of options here. I love the tool. You also have, if you want to add other operating systems, if you want to add your own, you have a couple of Ubuntu versions here. If you want to add your own, you can choose a custom. So you are going to browse your computer, choose your image, the image that you want to save, and you are going to use it there. For me, as I said, I go for Raspberry Pi OS Little. Then the storage, let me enable here. This takes some time, so I am not going to use this. I don't have any SD. I have a super set of very small 32 gigabyte SDs. So let me add one here, and in my disk, there it is. So in my PC, there it is. I don't have anything right now. Let me turn this on, and I have an SD card reader there. I have a new volume here, DF, and I'm going to save it there. So let's go here, choose the new one, and this is important. Before going to write this, we have a new option right now, which is super cool, where we can define some settings for the new image, like the host name, like how you're going to authenticate, if you want to enable SSH to access the device, the username and password, your if you want to be automatically connected to your LAN, where is the LAN, and locale settings. So I have everything here, save. Let me change the name just in case. Let's do this 15, save, and right. As I said, this is going to take some time, so I'm going to leave this in the back. And I already have one created. So I have here, hey, this is one saying, hey, and I see a couple of other people saying hi. Raul from Spain, a couple of people from Spain, super cool. Carlos also from Spain. Hey, Carlos. Hey, hello, everyone. And hey, I already have one Raspberry Pi in the back already configured. Let me start the camera so we can take a look. And let me show you this one here. So I have my Raspberry Pi, and I think it's the number 12. So let's do a ping. Yes, it's already connected on my network. Let me turn on the camera so we can take a look at this live. Here, okay, I'm back. Long story short, I have there, this is what we are going to see. This is the camera of the Raspberry Pi. There is no much stuff here. There is no much, where is my camera? There it is. So this is a camera with the Raspberry Pi, the one that you see on the front. And hey, there is no interaction here, but because I am already connected, what I can do SSH piat rpdev 12 is going to ask me the first time if I want to connect. Yes, I trust. Password, there it is. I'm already SSHing. I'm already connected and doing SSH to my device. So let's do here a clear. And what I usually do right now when I am here, and let's make this a little bigger. What I usually do right now is basically I create a sudo, where is my mouse? I enter the configuration, ASP config, and then start to do some configuration. As people saying hi from India, people saying hi, hey Aaron, and yes, Juan Carlos, I saw your name there, I saw your photo, and realized it was you. So super cool to have you here. So going back here, so I am connected SSH to the Raspberry Pi in the back, and I launch the Raspi config. Super cool tool, came from out of the box, and I always do a couple of things here. Here is the place that you can go, and if you have enabled the display, you can do some stuff here. Or if you want to change your wireless configuration, the host name, or other options, this is the place. What I usually do here, I do a couple of things. First one, I enable the access to the I2C kernel. So change this one here. The I2C is enabled. I also already have SSH. If I want to use the camera, I can enable the camera here, not this time, but I'm going to also enable the remote GPIO, so we can access here. Also, what I do here is I expand the file system. By default, when we do this, this is, I think, it's a 32 gigabytes SD card, but by default, it's not using the full space, so we need to expand it. And then what I am going to do, I am going to do a finish, I am going to do a reboot. And we are going to see that I am going to lose the connection. You can see there when it's rebooting how the LEDs that are on top of the Raspberry Pi are starting to blink. By the way, on top of the Raspberry Pi, what I am using is a hat, which is called Sense Hat. And I like it because it has these small displays with LEDs, and then you have access to an accelerometer. You can also have sensors to get the temperature, the pressure, and a couple more. So, hey, this is kind of nice to have. Berkeley, California. Hey, Alec, super nice to have you here. Let's see, where is my mouse? There it is, my mouse, and I'm still here. It's still rebooting. Let's see if it's already on. Let's SSH. So Let's connect again, and I am connected to my Raspberry Pi. This is the moment I can start to take a look at a couple of things. I am not going to do anything crazy there, but this is the moment where I can start to, my Raspberry Pi is connected, my Raspberry Pi is connected to my wireless, is have access to the internet. So, hey, I want to use the device as an Azure IoT device. So, quick overview of Azure IoT. No sex. I am going to, let me hide this. What is happening with my mouse? It's not working as expected. Try this one and go different. So I am going to use Azure IoT Hub. Azure IoT Hub is one of the services that we have in Azure, which is basically it's a super cool service that we can use to manage one or thousands or millions or billions of devices, and it has a lot of features out of the box. It will handle the security, it will handle the deploy and the lifetime and the life cycle of the devices that I have there. We can do an intro on Azure IoT Hub for hours. During the week, again, remember in the JulyOT.dev, there was a couple of sessions where they talk about this. I will assume that there is a basic knowledge of Azure IoT Hub. Otherwise, I can go there. And there is a cool question here. Nanju asked if we are going to do, thanks for the session. No, thanks for you for joining. Where we are going to use the direct method for using logic app functions to send commands. Yes, I am going to show probably on Wednesday or even today. I have a couple of demos, modules, it's custom edge modules that are receiving custom messages. So we can use them to relay the devices, to interact with the device, or to send information. We can do this stuff. Yes, Aaron, I love it. It's also here. Captain America is always a nice one to have there. So going back here, I have already here, I have my Azure IoT, I have an Azure IoT service already configured for demos. You can test this for free. In Azure, this is also super cool, depending on the scale that you can get. I can't remember the numbers, but you have access to more or less free devices and more or less mesas that you can use. So, hey, you can test this for free. What I am going to use, I'm going to go to IoT Edge. I have a couple of devices already defined here, and I am going to basically create a new device. And when I create a new device, there are a couple of ways that I can also later register the device. And this is important. Let me do this RPF F12, and let's take a look at this. So how the device is going to be authenticated later is going to basically be self-register and say, hey, Azure IoT, I'm the Raspberry Pi Dev 12. I'm going to be there. So there are a couple of ways. I can use certificates. I'm not going to do this today. Require a nice background of services to do this, or I can basically have a signature key that's going to give me access to a full connection string that I can use later to register the device. Both ways are valid. Both ways are, you can work in both ways. Probably if you are thinking to work with thousands, maybe hundreds or thousands of devices, don't go for the signature key. You don't want to handle hundreds or thousands of different keys and connection strings. Use a certificate-based environment, and it's going to be great. So once I have this, I can save, and hey, this is going to basically create a new device. And once I have the device, I am going to have access. Let me refresh this. I am going to have access to my primary key, my connection string. It's all, of course, out of the box. It's hidden here. It's hidden. We are not going to see this. We're going to use it later. But hey, I have here the key, the secondary key, connection string, and secondary connection string. So that's a way. Nangu is asking that if I am going to share these samples. Yes, not now, but when I switch to the modules, I am going to show. I write a lot about this. I need to update a couple of posts, but there is a lot of blog posts and documentation that we can use to do this. So right now, I have a device defined in Azure IoT. I have my Raspberry Pi already created and configured. How we can do everything, how we can start to basically connect our device as an Azure IoT device. So there is this tutorial. This is a super amazing tutorial. Let me make this a little bigger so we can read it together. And this tutorial basically explains how to create and provision an IoT Edge device on Linux using symmetric keys, which is basically what I just said. So this is kind of cool. And if we start to read the device. So there are a couple of ways that we can access the device. We can use the portal, which I just used. We can use code, Visual Studio Code, or the Azure CLI. And then you can pick up any of the supported device. You can even use your emulator locally. And there's a couple of ways that, as I mentioned, you can create a new device. This is the step-by-step of what I just done. So, go to the Azure portal, create an Azure IoT Hub, create a new device, copy the connection string. That's fine. There it is, your device, and then we need to install the IoT Edge. The IoT Edge is the runtime that is going to be running, sorry for that, on the device that is going to manage the connection and is going to basically do everything on the client side, on the Edge device side, and with the connection with the hub. There are a couple of supported Edge operating systems here: Ubuntu, Debian, Raspberry Pi OS, and Red Hat Enterprise. And this is also important. Since June the 30th, so 24 days ago, 25 days ago, the Raspberry Pi OS stretch is not supported. That means that you can still use it. I am going to show you how to use it, but it's not into the supported list. If we want to do something, we need to go to the latest Debian Bullseye OS supported version. I need to write because I was planning to do today something in Bullseye, but I basically chose to, okay, you know what? Let's keep this in the Raspberry Pi OS, which is the most popular one. And the idea is that once you have this, it's super easy to use and do. So what I am going to do, let me do a side-by-side. Let's do this one here. Let's do this one here. I am going to review the step-by-step process that we need to do to install this. And I also going to share a couple of lesson learned that I have that we need to do this before going here and install. So I write this blog post 1.5 years ago, but it still is valid to do this. First of all, I am going to update my Raspberry Pi. So I use a command, which is basically a apt get update with a couple of automatic version that is going to update my Raspberry Pi, all of the stuff that is already installed there. And hey, it's kind of nice. It works. It takes some time, as usual. So this is all the moment that I'm going to start to review questions. First time it takes literally 2-3 minutes because it's downloaded a lot of packages, but it's nice. So Alex is asking if we are going to have a link to the MS.io tutorial. Yes, and the JulyOT, let me get the JulyOT. In JulyOT.dev page, which is also opened here, there are all of the resources of all of the sessions that we have these days. So JulyOT.dev, you can start here and take a look. In example, the IoT Cloud Skill Challenge. This is a super cool one. This is a place that you can register to a Microsoft Learn Challenge, and you are going to see all of the tutorials, all of the stuff that you need to do. One of the tutorials is this one, but not using the Raspberry Pi. I think it uses a virtual one. I can't remember, but everything is here. So JulyOT.dev is your entry point for everything. So still installing. Great place to take some water. And remember, what I am doing right now, I am basically, okay, this one is finished. So I have my SD. If I want to do another one, let's do this one later. And I basically upgrading this little Raspberry Pi here to be connected to the internet using Azure IoT. So again, I did it this morning. It took 2.5 minutes. Of course, when you are doing this live, it's taking longer. That's the session. But in the meantime, let's take a look here at the process. So the first thing that I'm going to do, let me do this a little longer, a little smaller, I'm sorry, is going to install basically the a list of products from Microsoft. So when I do an apt-get install for the Azure IoT Edge, it will know where to get this. So let's wait a couple of seconds. I will see for question. What Aaron asked, what system config needed to do this procedure? Sorry, I don't know what you mean with the system config. On the Raspberry Pi side or on the Windows side? Sorry, Aaron, I don't. If you can explain a little about what you mean with system config, I will be happy to help. Okay, so my Raspberry Pi is updated. Let me also share here. I will ask Alexia if she can share this link in all of the channels. This is my custom version of the step-by-step. So what I am going to do once I have this, and this is the boring part, copy a command, go here, CLS, oh no, this is Windows, this is Linux. Clear, paste the command, and run the command. As I said, it's going to download the Microsoft package, and now I have also to the package, and I need to install a container engine. A container engine is a kind of a Docker, install Docker. Azure IoT Edge is not using Docker, is using another one, which is called Movie Engine. But this is a lesson learned. Before install Movie Engine, what I usually do, I install this custom version of this library, libSSL 1.0.2, because otherwise I have problems with Movie Engine on the Raspberry Pi. So in this step here, before install the Movie Engine, I am going to do again clear, install this specific version, and again, this is where I switch to a couple of lesson learned. Install this version, and once the version is installed, I am going to go and install Movie Engine. So now is the moment that I am going to go here and install Movie. So let's go back here, let's paste this one, and install Movie. As I said, it's kind of not tricky, but until last 2 weeks, or can't remember, there was no problem there. Somehow today, if you don't use that specific version of the library, the libSSL library, Movie Engine is going to give you some happy moments where you need to figure out how to solve this. So still installing, see a couple more questions. Greetings from K-Town. It's 26 minutes. Yeah. You didn't share anything. I am just basically following the tutorial to install the Raspberry Pi, to install the Azure IoT Edge device on Raspberry Pi. Just new brand and updated Raspberry Pi using Raspberry Pi OS, little. And I also sharing basically a couple of small tweaks here and there that we need to do this. So Movie Engine, the container engine is installed. What I need to do now is to update this, the daemon config file. So you can take a look here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do sudo nano to edit this file. I use nano. I am not a very big fan of Vim. I am afraid of Vim, so I'm going to use nano. I have this edited, Control-X, save, enter, there it is. Now it's edited, it's there, and I can even take a look here. I can do sudo docker/v, and I know that I have here this Docker version 2017, Azure 1, which is kind of knows that, hey, my Docker is running. If I go to sudo docker image ls, there is no image here, so everything is up and running. So what I need to do now, I need to install the Azure IoT runtime. Again, going to the tutorial step by step, this is the command that I need to run now. Sudo update, we are going to update the current set of packages and then install Azure IoT Edge. And this also is going to take some time. This also is going to take a couple of minutes because it's going to download the IoT Edge. And the IoT Edge is going to basically register, it's going to register 2 services to be running by default in any device, the Azure IoT Agent and the Azure IoT Hub. Right now, until in the version that we are running today, and remember, this is not a supported scenario, we need to figure out, we need to specify a specific version, both of them in the Raspberry Pi to work, which is the stuff that we're going to do now. But hey, it's already installed here, and my next step will be, okay, let's set up this device to use a connection string. So I have here this command, not here, let me close this. And what I am going to do, let me open a notepad, is, let me be a little longer, I am going to my device. I have here the RPDev12 that I created. I'm going to copy the connection string. There it is. And I am going to have the full command here and declare this. And basically, it's going to update the configuration from the Raspberry Pi to use this connection string. And what I need to do now is run this secondary command, which is going to apply this configuration. So we can take a look here that, hey, everything, the configuration is applied, and it's going to restart the services to apply the new configuration. And this is the moment where we need to be careful with a couple of things. So let me go back to the tutorial. We install Azure IoT Edge in the Azure IoT Raspberry Pi. So once it's installed, I can use this command, IoT Edge system status, to see how my device is running. So, hey, super cool. I have almost everything running fine here. The Edge and the edit ID, the KID and the cert are running, and the temp is ready. Then I can use sudo IoT Edge check. And this is a super important one. I will strongly advise everyone before going live to run the check in your device, because this will analyze the current configuration of your device and we'll start to see if everything is fine in the configuration side, in the permission sides, in the connectivity sides, everything else. And we're going to find an error here. We are going to find that the Edge Hub storage directory somehow is not working. This is fine. I am expecting this. So why this is happening? Because right now in the current version deployed for this scenario, is not as we are supposed to be. We are using a specific version of the devices of the agents that are not working. If I take a look at what is working right now, if I do sudo IoT Edge list, this is going to show me clear this. So this is the devices, this is the modules that are up and running, and I only have running the Edge agent. I don't have running the Edge Hub right now. And this is because, as I said, there is a misconfiguration here with this current version that we need to manually fix. And if you want to learn more, let me copy here, and I will ask here, that's Alexia to share this. There is this amazing thread in GitHub where there explains why the Edge Hub storage directory is not working fine. So Alexia, if you can also share this link, that will be great. I will save you the time to read and understand this. I will basically go here and fix it. And the way we can fix this is my mouse. We need to go to the device. We need to go to the configuration of the device. So we're going to set modules. And let's take a look at the two main modules that we have here. So we have in the runtime, we have access to the Edge agent, which is running agent 1.1, and Edge Hub, which is running agent 1.2. We don't want this. We want the hub to run the 1.2. So what we need to do right now is update the image of this runtime, of this module that is going to run on Docker on the client side to run this version. So when we have this, we apply this, we review and create, we create, and this one is going to take some time, but it's going to basically set to the client Edge that, hey, you are running Docker. All of we are seeing here are docking modules, that are containers, and we need to run the IoT leash with the second one. So I am running again the list, and you're going to see that it's taking some time because right now it's checking the clients and the configuration on the cloud, and it's trying to match everything, and it's probably downloading the new versions. So let's take a look at the current list that we have right now. I will check the question. There are no questions here yet, no problem. Still running, still working. 1.3 for the agent. No hub here. We need to see the hub. So let's do this again until we have the hub. Okay, we can see here that the Edge agent was running. Now it just restart. It's also downgrade to the agent 1.1 instead of 1.3. So that's kind of nice. And it's probably downloading also the image of the Edge hub. So we are going to have the two modules running anytime soon. I can't remember how big they are. They are not big, but somehow, hey, when you are doing this in demo mode, everything takes a little longer. Get it here. In the meantime, not yet. One on one. One more time. There it is. We have the second one. Let's maximize this here and do this. So just to show you here everything, let me put myself here in the bottom. What we have here is we have here the Edge agent running. We have also the hub running. So this device is already working as an Azure IoT device. My amazing Raspberry Pi that I have in my bag, this one here is connected as an Azure IoT device. If I go back to the portal and I check my Azure IoT devices, let's maximize this, close this, we refresh this, and we are going to see here that the Raspberry Pi, the F12, it's okay. I have a runtime response of okay, and it's running two modules. Right now it's running the Azure IoT, the Edge agent and the Edge hub running there. But hey, it's a device. I want to do more. What else we can do here? How we can add some, how we can make something amazing here with the device. And this is the moment what I am going to, my device is connected. My device is already part of the Azure IoT hub. And what I can start to do, I can start to deploy modules to the device. I can start to add some intelligence here. So I created, and I'm going to share the links later, I created several tutorials of how to use and write custom modules in Azure IoT. And I have here in my personal repository, hey, Alex makes a good question here. Perfect, I like it. So Alex is asking how many Linux processes are running to support IoT Edge on the device. 2. Literally one IoT agent and hub. So let's show this. And thanks for the question. I always forget about this, and it's nice to have this. So if I do Azure IoT Edge list, what I've just done, let's make it a little bigger. We see that for Azure IoT, we have these two modules, Edge agent and Edge hub. But remember, this is Docker. This is container. So if I do sudo docker container ls, I will have two here, the two that we see before, the Azure IoT Edge Hub 1.2 and Azure IoT Edge Agent 1.1. Does it make sense? This is what you were expected to see. Of course, if I do, I think it was, I'm sorry, if I go for, instead of container, I go for image, I will have several versions here because remember, initially I have this, and I downgrade this. They are not all using, but that's kind of the idea. And yes, Alex, that's what I also like it. It's kind of simple. It's what you're expecting. When I going to configure this to run an extra module, what I am going to have here, sorry, clear. This is Linux. I switch between Windows and Linux. What I am going to have here is a third one that is going to basically give me access to the small hut to do stuff there. And how do I do this? And Kamel, I am going to answer your question right now. I am going to go to my device, Raspberry Pi Dev 12. I'm going to define set modules, and I can do plenty of stuff here. So I can add a new module for the marketplace. And what I can run here, I can run a SQL Server on my device. So I can say, hey, SQL Server, install this. I'm going to do this later because this is a big one. I can even run Azure SQL Server. I can, if I have a nice NVIDIA, I can't remember the name, Jetson or Jetson Nano, I can configure the device to be used in Azure IoT and start to develop modules. There are plenty of stuff that I can deploy, even a blob storage here, but I have a custom one. So let me copy and paste my credentials for my custom one. There it is. So I need to give access to my device to my container registry, and the password, which is kind of a big one. And then I am going to add a new module, and I'm going to do this sense hat. And where is my sense hat? There it is. Oh, Jesus Christ. So sense hat. This is the image URI where I am going to have my device. Then I'm going to have a couple of configuration environmental variables. This is going to be report values. It's going to be true. I need counter interval, which is basically how many seconds is going to happen between the device is going to read the temperature and the pressure and these values, and is going to stream. And then I'm going to have a new one, which is how many seconds. And this is all code that I write. It's going to read to apply the sleep, the twin values. Then I have a container create option. This is a standard Docker. And because I am accessing the GPIOs, I am accessing the pins to use this, to use this sense hat, I need to run this with privilege mode. And finally, I have a module twin settings. I'm going to do this here, module twins. That is basically going to give me access to, I can update these values to ask for the Raspberry Pi to do something. So once I have this and I do review and create, this information is going to be stored in the cloud. And if I access here back to my Raspberry Pi and I do sudo IoT Edge list, I have two modules running right now, Edge Agent and Edge Hub. And after a couple of seconds, I should get here to see this. 3 modules, Edge Agent, Edge Hub, and Sense Hat. So it's going to download the image now. It's going to take some time. And once it's downloaded, I will have access to start to do stuff with the Sense Hat there. In the meantime, a super cool tool that we can use to access our devices to configure this is the Azure IoT Explorer. Azure IoT Explorer is free to download, it's still in preview, but it's basically going to give us access in the same tool, the same contents and most of the stuff that we can manage on the portal is going to be accessed here. So I open the Raspberry Pi 12. I go to the modules. I'm going to see that I have 3 modules. The Sense Hat is still not connected, so we need to wait for this. If I run this one here, I will see that it's still not there. Maybe I copy and paste the. Let's give it this a couple of seconds. I will check the module identities and module information. B. That's my problem. That instead of typing EV, I type in ED. So review, create. This is going to take some time. And as we can see here, the third module, the Sense Hat, is not there yet. So let's wait a couple of seconds here. And now it seems to be working. Now it's doing something. So after a couple of seconds, I should get 3 modules in my device running: Edge Agent, IoT Hub, Edge Hub, and then the Sense Hat, and I will have access to manage this device. So if I go back here to devices, and I go to this one, and I go to the modules, at any moment it's going to show me that the Sense Hat should be connected. So, okay, it's probably downloading, it's probably installing the third module. So let's wait. There it is. Sense, oh, it's already, you can start to see here how the LEDs are working, and I see the Sense Hat that is running. And if I go here and I do sudo IoT Edge logs of Sense Hat, we are going to start to see that every 10 seconds it's reading information, and I have temperature 38 degrees. I need to fix something there. It's not so hot in my house right now. Humidity 36, and the pressure is, I don't understand pressure, so I don't know if the values is fine, but it's reading values, so I get more and more. If I go back to the Azure IoT Explorer, like this one, and refresh the modules, I will have access to the Sense Hat. And remember, this custom module, what it's doing, it's basically every 10 seconds, it's reading the environmental values, temperature, and more pressure and humidity, and it's triggering those values as messages. So I have one here. I'm starting to check the telemetry. So I have here one, temperature 38, humidity, and pressure. After a couple of seconds, I will get 10 seconds and I get more. But because I have access to the module, I can even also start to update the module. I have a new one here, so we start to see more and more. But I can start to write the module twin. This module is also reading the digital twin configuration that we have, and I can change some stuff here to make it. I am going to update the twin configuration on the cloud that is going to be automatically sync back to the device. And I have a timer there. I think it was 10 seconds also. After 10 seconds, it's going to be basically displaying the screen. So let's do high in blue. I am changing the configuration of the cloud. If I do save, you can see oh my God, I put the Raspberry Pi upside down. Give me 1 second. So if do something like Reactor in blue, and I save this, you are going to see how the Raspberry Pi is getting the information. The Azure IoT Cloud is saving this as the information for the identity of the twin of the module, and the module is going to display this. I can even do, I can't remember what else do I have. I can do red if I want. Reactor in red. Oh my God, this is so crappy, the quality of the stuff. But hey, you have an idea. So quick recap before we still have 10 minutes more for questions. And I have one here for do this. Bradfield, yes, I know. I did a disclaimer about the crappy demos at the beginning. But hey, you want to see your name here? You want to see something here? I will do Brad in red. I'm going to save this, and you have your name there at the same time. So, sorry about that. I love these small demos to basically show. But what I've done from the beginning, I create an image in an SD card using the latest Raspberry Pi OS version and deploy it to the Raspberry Pi. Oh, I have this recap here in the slide. Just this and this. In the meantime, I will start to take some questions if you want. Switch to this layout. So I create an SD image using Raspberry Pi Imager. Then I create a new IoT Edge device on IoT Hub, copy the configuration string. I don't know why I have a one here in the middle of on the flow. Then I make configuration on the Raspberry Pi device to be used an Azure IoT Edge device. Check the configuration. This is super important. This is also the place where we are going to see this weird Azure IoT Hub configuration. I make this use the 1.2 version by default to this version. It was using the 1.1 for the hub. And then I add a module. an IoT module, which is basically allows me to interact with the Sense Hat. And hey, I even show how we can configure telemetry for the device. And someone asked me if I can do direct modules. Yes, direct message. I think I send message. Do hola in Spanish. I think I created for this one. Send message. No, it's not send message. I can't remember. I write about how to create this, how to create a Sense Hat module. Can't remember when. I am going to share. I'm going to share this. No, this is not Sense message. It's another display message, I think. How to do this. I'm going to share the links are going to be there share soon. But on Wednesday, I'm going to show the code for one that specifically could do this. I can't remember where is this and what is the method that we need to implement. I have a good question from Camel here. IoT Edge is different. Is a more advanced IoT device? No, we talk a lot about Edge as a way to define that we have that we're interacting with the device, but it's not an advanced device. If we go back to the portal here, and I go back to Azure IoT, let me hide your comment 1 second. We are going to see that we have two devices. The standard device where you can add a device and it's going to be the standard ones. And you can even have here an extra authentication type, which is going to be the X509 CSINet, but is literally the same. The main difference is that an Azure IoT Edge device is you can create your custom devices here, where in the IoT Edge device is mostly for third-party official certified devices. So if you are working with the company, I don't want to say name, but the official partner is going to you're going to certify your device here because you're going to add in the catalog, you're going to find, I don't know, one of these amazing devices that we have here. You're going to register the device here for this. On the other side, if you are doing your own stuff, this is your IoT Edge device. But Edge is the configuration. Sean asked a question that if we can have one PIA to ask an Edge hub for several PIs on a local network. I think, yes, I give this a try sometime a couple of months ago, and I kind of make it work. But yes, and that's a good question. When you create a device, thanks Sean for reading this. When you create a device, let me go back here, IoT Edge, and I can add a new IoT Edge device, and I am going to see how many child devices you have here. And yes, you can define that. In example, I don't know, the feeder lab is going to be a child device for this one and the other. So you can do something like that. I kind of make it work, but I remember I need to stop because I find something that I wasn't very skilled about that. So I need to I need to start to ask around. Didn't have time, moved into my to-do list and didn't finish. But yes, and I will probably need to write about this at any time soon, because that's a nice scenario to use your one Raspberry Pi, which is basically the main connection to the other Raspberry Pis or other devices, and your Raspberry Pi is going to be kind of the single entry point to manage security and connection, everything we have. I will say yes to the question, but I will probably need to learn and do a couple more tests and write more about how we can do that. Not really sure if I don't want to make a quick search and spend some time here. If I don't have an excellent connection, I will probably find something and tweet it in between today and tomorrow what I found as an entry point. And it was yes, but I have a small but there. I can't remember what was my stopper there. So as I said, let me go back here. I have my devices up and running. You can even see the small reTerminal in the back. Today's was all about Azure IoT in a Raspberry Pi. On Wednesday, we are going to do something similar. Here, back in there, that's the Sense hat. Oh my God, I don't want to move the camera a lot around. And there is a Sense hat. I'm sorry, a reTerminal here. That is the one that I'm going to use with the big screen to show a couple of machine learning on the cloud and how we can create custom modules. Bradfield asking, no, this is a good question. Is Azure Cognitive a good starting point to kick ass? Yes. And hey, let me show you how easy we can do this. So I can open the device, the one that I just shared. I can do Edge modules, in example, and I can add a new module from the marketplace. And let's do Cognitive. And hey, I want to, an example, if I have a device which have a couple of sensors, camera skills are very, very bad. Sorry about that. But I have a device which is collecting information. I have some sensor for temperature or whatever, and I want to install the anomaly detector. I can do this. Or, hey, I want to run sentiment analysis or language detection or something like this on my device. I can go to the marketplace, do this, install this. You see here that is going to ask this. I will do review create. And if I go back, this is because I read this. If I go back here and do Azure IoT Edge list, right now I have 3 modules running, which is the Edge Hub, the Edge Agent, and the Sense Hat, the custom Sense Hat that I run. It's downloading the 4th one, and after a couple of seconds, I am going to see the new module, and I am going to be able, after some small configuration, to run a couple of community services modules on the edge, which is super cool. You don't need to push everything on the cloud. It's going to be run here. So, of course, I have a timeout. Let's do this again. I can't remember how big are these images. They are probably very big. So it's going to be there. That's another good question. Another cool stuff that you can do with Raspberry Pi when you start to tap into Azure IoT. I like about the Raspberry Pi that it's a powerful device. So I am going to show on Wednesday how we can do custom vision, how we can do recognize images. And hey, maybe the Pico is super small, it's not powerful enough, but doing computer vision on the edge, computer vision on the Raspberry Pi, it's something that you can keep in mind. That hey, it's not going to do a super fast computer vision analysis, but it's good enough to do this. And I'm guessing that the image is super big. So let's see here. Oh no, not this one. Yes, I'm teasing. Sorry. Sorry, Camel, I don't want to start to do everything today because I'm not going to start on time. So, hey, still not installing. It's taking some time. Also, I'm probably starting to see maybe this module is not available for the Raspberry Pi. It's available only for IRN64, and this is a 32. So, hey, that's maybe why I was so bad luck. I choose the only one that is not working here, but hey, that's fine. And before I forget, we share a link to a survey and the event ID. Please let us know if you want to learn more, if you want to go other topic or something else. This is a place. And also, please join us and follow us. Let me show. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us follow us also in Twitter, and super happy to have you there. I will go back one last time to my PC to see if it's still not downloading the latest image. Probably have this up and running for Wednesday so we can take a look. But that's it. From 0 to 100, how we can set up everything, how we can have a Raspberry Pi running as an Azure IoT device. And on Wednesday, let's do more fun stuff. Let's use the Raspberry Pi, using a custom module to do on the reTerminal to do some computer vision, some cool stuff. So thanks a lot. See you next one. Goodbye.